Welcome to Edwards Greenhouse. My name is Erin Monty and I'm the general manager here at Edwards. My mom's the current owner. We've been in the valley since 1930, so that makes me fourth generation. I'll soon be taking it over, but I welcome you today to this kit to put together, and glad that you're participating with us today. So it's pretty easy, but in your kit is a couple of tools that might help you, put around the plants. You'll have your container, your terrarium container. You'll have 4 cute little pileas, your plants that you'll be planting in there. You'll have a bag of charcoal, a bag of some oyster shells, and a bunch of different types of moss, and more than enough soil. So first things first, what we will do is use this charcoal and pour it in here. It should cover the base of the pot, and so this is going to help wick away the moisture because you won't have drainage. So you're going to have to be very careful about over-watering this. And because it's a terrarium, it's self-contained, so you'll have to hardly ever water it. And the benefit is that you'll be able to see the moisture level of the soil, so just don't overwater. It's usually the biggest mistake people make when it comes to houseplants or terrariums. You're truly creating a little rainforest type climate in here. So we put our charcoal in there. Now I'm going to add a little bit of soil. You might make sure you're working in an area that you don't mind making a little bit of a mess. So this is also why I added these little tools. If it might be a little bit hard getting your hands in there, so these can help. So I just put 2 handfuls about in there, and now I'm going to start planting. So these are various different pileas and peperomioides that I chose them because they're slow growing. So I took off a little bit of the base of that just because we don't have a ton of planting depth in there. But I chose these because they're good for a terrarium. They're a bit slow growing. We actually started these from cutting, so we just got, the tips of a plant, you let it callus, and then we put it in these little earth pots. They're called ellies, and they just root in. And so we've grown these from little itty bitty plants. So all of these I'm having to take off just a little bit of soil and just kind of gently squish that ellie open so that they can root into this soil. And I'm kind of messily placing them right now, but we'll use the tools and add the soil later and get more aesthetic with it. You also get a trailing pilea, which is slow growing. Oops, got a leaf. It's okay. All right. So now I'm going to fill in just a little bit with soil. Just sift that soil around. And then if you need to, you could use the tools. All right. I think I like the placement of most everything. So this will be kind of temporary. You'll be able to enjoy it, I would say, for, I'd say about 3 months. It's probably going to start to get overgrown, and you can take some of these elements out and repot them in a bigger pot. But for now, you can enjoy them here. So the next thing I do is just carefully water. Just don't want it sitting in water. So just a little bit at a time, let the soil absorb the moisture. And I may have put too much in already. And if you do that, you can go over to a sink, or I'm in a greenhouse, so I'm just gonna cover it and carefully pour a little out. It does not take that much water, so to overwater. All right. So yeah, this is going to need to be watered for quite some time. Then you can add more than enough moss. If you want to use this, you can, or you could save it for another project, but it's just to add a little bit of contrast and color. And you use it however you'd like. This is preserved dyed lichen. I like it because it's just a pop of lime green that's always pretty. And then you have just a little bit of moss. This moss will stay green as long as it's spritzed or moist. So that is, it should just stay green just by the nature of it being in a cute little terrarium. So you'll have lots of extra supplies that you can use for any other activity if you want. There's more soil in there. And then you have your little oyster shells that are just, I thought the white would be pretty, and they're just to kind of contrast with the dirt. Then I don't have a towel with me, but you'll want to definitely clean up the glass a little bit. And I should say I would recommend using distilled water. That way you won't get water spots, or water here is really hard. So if you use water out of the tap, it's gonna you're gonna see it on the glass eventually. So I would just use distilled water or rainwater, so you don't get that, you don't ruin the glass. So you can kind of see here how, I mean, you could arrange them however you like, but yeah, we just have a self-contained, basically a little rainforest in here. Because it's kind of closed, it has the nature of creating its own greenhouse effect per se, so it's gonna keep this whole area in here moist. And like I said, you're probably only gonna have to water it but once a month. Just be really careful about watering it. So you want to put it in an area where there's indirect light, and you can just put it, if it's at your office desk, just make sure you have, some light from a window next to you. Just make sure it's not in complete darkness, and you don't want to put it in a really, really bright window. I hope you enjoyed this craft. We appreciate you being here today, and if you have any questions, just stop by Edwards and we'd be happy to help you. Have a great day. Thank you.